I'm gonna have to don't say T-Syllabus, because that's not. Type into the air. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. Let's see. I gotta do something. Let me cut this off real quick. Hold on. We gonna get into it today. We're talking about the soybean farmers going through it right now, and also Tyson laying off 3,200 people, and also UPS layoffs. Let's get into it, because we live right now. How do I change my thingamajigger? There we go. Although I ain't happy with that, we still go use that one. Let's see. We'll use this one for the purpose of the live. Wake up. Good morning. Let's play the theme song. Ah, mother. Can y'all hear it? We talking. Good morning, guys. I don't know why my mic doing that. Maybe it's too loud. Let me check. Oh, baby, this thing is up there. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, wow, that probably fixed it. Maybe. But I'm going to turn it down because I don't know if that's the problem. Getting a lot of squealing. Squealing like a piggy. Okay. Maybe that'll help. Okay, we're talking about the soybean farmers are going through it right now because they can't sell no product. China has decided they are not dealing with us anymore. And the farmers are struggling. We're going to play that in a minute. All right. And also, we talking about Tyson layoffs. $3,200 people in a town that already doesn't have a lot of people. Well, they got 11,000, and you're talking about 3,200 is getting laid off. What a way to start your year! And that happens today, January the 20th. So they let the workers know at the beginning of the year. I mean, the end of the year, late November, early December, that they're going to be laying off January 20th, which is today. So a lot of people said their last goodbyes, lost jobs, and I wonder did they get new ones? We don't know. And also, I hear UPS is laying off. which they had already laid off uh 48,000 people. And then I just seen something today. A lot to talk about on today's live. Here comes the vibe. They're like, good morning, y'all. I'm just setting up. Setting up. Okay, so I got everything rolling. We're going to start right now. Let's talk about these soybean farmers going through it. I wish it was a way for me to see the chat. I'm trying to hold these screens up and see the chat. Okay. All right. In case we get any questions.
Dollars were lost in the U.S. economy because China announced it will no longer be buying U.S. soybeans. Instead, they're going to buy them from Brazil. That's about $13 billion worth of exports just gone. I don't know if you guys know how much of the United States is just dedicated to growing soybeans, but take a trip around the South. Take a trip around like North Carolina, for example. You'll see there's soybean fields everywhere. Primary customer of those, China, Chinese firms. I don't think people are getting it, man. Like, even if the tariffs got canceled today, I mean, the damage is done, effectively. I mean, it's going to take years for the United States to regain, if it ever can at this point, its position within the global trade infrastructure. Because global trade is only possible because of a system of handshakes, a system of trust between trading partners, where everybody trusts that the other parties in any trade deal are going to maintain the same systems and agreements for harvesting, packaging, transporting, unloading, and reselling goods between each other. And what the United States has done here over the last 90 days, it's only been 90 days, is it has said to the entire world, we cannot wrangle our worst impulses. Because we could have wrangled them, right? Congress could have stood up to Trump, gotten their stuff together, and said, hey, between the House and the Senate, we have more than enough people who are all dismayed at the dismantling of the global order, which has built all of this untold wealth in this country. So we are going to pass a bill and then use a congressional override in the event that the bill was vetoed in order to take the powers of tariffs back from the president in their unilateral ability to do so, which is how Trump is able to do what he's doing now.
You hear that? They said we are not going to be able to recover from this. Now, China done went 6 months strong denying buying soybeans from U.S. farmers. And the farmers are really feeling it. They producing like they always done. Problem is nobody to buy. They don't have nobody to buy the beans they making. Now imagine that. You out there cropping and working, and farming is hard work. It's not nothing to play with. And come to find out, nobody wants what you selling. I smell a disaster coming. That's how I feel about it.
So China has purchased zero U.S. soybean for an unprecedented 6 months in a row. So this is Forbes. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. So Donald decided to push tariffs on China. China pushed tariffs back. And also another thing that China did, it banned imports of American soybeans. Soybeans, I hear you say, yes, well, big difference, China. Good job. So I'm going to take a look deeper into this a little bit. Coming from actually the United States from an agriculture website and also the students prices. Let's look at this in a little bit more detail. So about half of U.S. soybean exports are actually shipped to China. That totals about $12.8 billion in China America. So that's a lot of money. Also, it's a lot of farms. It's a lot of businesses, and it's a lot of people. I don't have these number of people directly employed by the soybean industry, but the United States, again, I'm reading from the estimated. The United States has 98,281 soybean farm businesses as of January 2022. This is catastrophic news. It's not making mainly because, as usual, Donald is making a lot of noise. Unfortunately, a lot of people in the States are going to lose their jobs. There's going to be a lot of businesses that are going under, whether business gets squeezed.
Yep. If they don't be able to sell them soybeans, it's about to be a trickle effect. Anybody working on a farm, no job. Whoever selling supplies so they can farm, no sales. All of it.
So it's bad. And China is
Today, $13 billion were lost in the U.S. economy because China announced it will no longer be buying U.S. soybeans. Instead, they're going to buy them from Brazil. That's about $13 billion worth of exports just gone. I don't know if you guys know how much of the United States is just dedicated to growing soybeans, but take a trip around the South, take a trip around like North Carolina, for example, you'll see there's soybean fields everywhere. Primary customer of those Chinese folks. I don't think people are getting it. Like, even if the tariffs got canceled today, I mean, the damage is done. Effectively, it's going to take years for the United States to regain, if it ever can at this point, its position within the global trade infrastructure. Because global trade is only possible because of a system of handshakes, a system of trust between trading partners, where everybody trusts that the other parties in any trade deal are going to maintain the same systems and agreements for harvesting, packaging, transporting, unloading, and reselling goods between each other. And what the United States has done here over the last 90 days, it's only been 90 days, is it has said to the entire world, we cannot wrangle our worst impulses. Because we could have wrangled them, right? Congress could have stood up to Trump, gotten their stuff together, and said, hey, between the House and the Senate, we have more than enough people who are all dismayed at the dismantling of the global order, which has built all this untold wealth in this country. So we are going to pass a bill and then use a congressional override in the event that the bill was vetoed in order to take the powers of tariffs back from the President.
So Donald Trump was praising Xi Jinping for his large purchase of soybeans from American farmers. And farmers, only farmers know the truth about this. The rest of his red hats are just left to believe whatever he says. But Forbes is reporting that for the fifth straight month since purchasing should have begun, China has not purchased a single soybean. Not one. Donald Trump even.
That is sad. What a time to be a farmer for soybean right now. That's crazy. Not a single one. They're like, oh, we'll go with somebody else. Let's see what Brazil want to do. Boy, when they get to arguing up there in Congress, it affects a lot of people on the streets.
Created an agreement between our country and China for the purchase of soybeans back in December. And again, for the fifth straight month, they have purchased them from some other place. It's just crazy. Back in 2016, how the farmers were like, and they were like, "They're giving another $2. Here we sit with China purchasing soybeans from another country. And it's too late. He'll never be able to run again, so I can't say, are you going to do it again? I'm just asking you guys not to be this stupid in the future when smart people are telling you, people in his orbit, people close around him are reporting this man has absolutely no intentions.
Here's Joe from Georgia. So we're getting ready for the first domino to fall. You know what happens after the first one?
And Nebraska been feeling it because the farmers was already going through it. Y'all remember my farm video about Nebraska farmers struggling? Now we back in the news again, Nebraska.
The state of Nebraska governor, Jim Miller, is asking the federal government for help because they're not going to be able to pay their bills this year. And here's the problem with Nebraska. They have over $2 billion contract with the Chinese government to export soybeans to China. Well, out of that $2 billion, that gives them over $100. So out of that $2 billion, $350 million was state revenue taxes. They're not getting any of that. And the governor also goes on to say that because the migrant farmers were able to work in Nebraska this summer,
Mm-hmm.
and those people didn't pay their taxes either. And the farmers who already have crops in the ground, folks, they've already spent their money.
Yeah.
They're going to need help too because they're not getting any money from the contracts.
You remember that massive shortage of employees that was just struggling? Once ICE came and swooped everybody on out of there, everybody was scared to come to work. They like, who in the world is going to work these fields? Because I have no help. Now all this is coming back to play 12 months later.
So Nebraska is the first state. And when you look at the Midwest, you're probably looking at Kansas, you're looking at Iowa, South Dakota, all of those places that are large exporters of grains to China and depend on migrant farm labor. They're not going to be able to pay their bills either. So here's the first one to fall. Of course, as we do know, a certain person in a certain house in Washington, D.C., 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, well, they want to say we should have. Trump says, be patient. The farmer's going to be better than ever.
It would irk my nerve to be out there doing crops and being patient, waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen, waiting for a bill to pass, waiting for them to get a loan up there. And every day you wait, it's a check not coming through the door.
Well, you better hurry up. So that's a guy named Franz Rowland, and he's been farming for 40 years in Georgia. And it's really this next thing he said that just completely blew my mind. We've lost our market share, our trade to China. I don't know who dropped the ball with market to allow these prices, this trade to finish like it's traded like it has. But somebody dropped the ball. Somebody was looking out for us. This dude is a soybean farmer and has been for 40 years. It's his life. It's his business. And he has no idea, literally no idea why China won't buy our soybeans. Seriously, there's a 16-year-old kid somewhere scrubbing the bottom of a toilet in the back of a Hardee's that can tell you why China isn't buying our soybeans. How does a big-time soybean farmer not know that? And by the way, if you remember, they were supposed to start buying our soybeans again. They never did. They never did. Yeah, that whole deal was made a few months ago when they fixed everything. They were like, okay, you're going to buy soybeans now. They still haven't yet bought any. I've talked a lot recently about how the billionaire and ownership class in this country is buying all the media, social media, all the TV stations, everything so they can completely control all the message. And that is exactly why a 40-year soybean farmer doesn't know why China isn't buying soybeans. watching the news. He's watching the, I don't know, Trump propaganda network. I don't know what he's watching. And he's literally trying to find anyone else in Washington, D.C. to blame for Donald Trump's trade against China. And oh, by the way, China stopped buying our soybeans completely the first time Donald Trump was president because of the trade.
Hi. China hasn't purchased any soybeans from U.S. farmers in an unprecedented 5 months. 5 months, no soybeans purchased from farmers in the United States of America. The U.S. is losing the trade war with China, and it's losing it with everyone.
Somebody said this country is cooked. Do you hear me? Cooked, cookity cook. Ah, crap. Okay, I almost changed the station. Somebody said, I love this for American farmers. They voted for it. Ooh, low jab. Somebody else said, this is not an accident. We are witnessing the deliberate destruction of our economy. Yep, you guys, the economy is gonna take a hit from this. That's the issue. You can't say we losing the trade war. We already lost it. But the farmers, mm, mm, mm. Okay. What is this? Okay, hold on. Because something is terribly wrong. I gotta fix this before we go any further. Let me fix this, y'all. Because I lost where I was, but I know how to find it. Do, 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 do. Mm, 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 mm. Mm, 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 mm. I can't believe it is this bad. Cool. That's good. What is that? Okay. So let's do this. You guys, let's do this. So where were we? Right here, right?
Hi. China hasn't purchased any soybeans from U.S. farmers in an unprecedented 5 months. 5 months, no soybeans
Mm-hmm.
The US is losing the trade war with China, and it's losing it with everyone. Just to let you know, China
Hello.
is buying soybeans and buying them early from Brazil, even before the soybean season starts. Let me show you how much farmers made in
Can y'all
soybean
hear?
sales in the United States of America in 2024 under Biden. Do you see this amount? Do you see this? Almost $13 billion. 5 months, no soybean purchases to farmers in the United States. Do you have any idea what that's going to do to farmers and rural communities? Catastrophic, my friends. Farm bankruptcies are already up 60% higher than in 2024 under Biden. You thought they got a bailout? You thought farmers got a bailout? No, they haven't gotten a penny. Nothing. Farmers are still.
Oh, they didn't get the.
I'm Thanks, Christina. I have a master's degree in business. We are under horrible economic policy. Trade wars.
Hold up. So they didn't get the bailout? Are you kidding me? So how they still surviving? Y'all, when I did the playback, could y'all hear the lady talking? I see that you can hear me, but I don't see the bar moving for when she talk. I hope that's not an issue.
Are killing the U.S. economy. We are a global economy. We are only 300.
I think so. I think y'all can't hear me. Okay, let me play this back. I think you can't hear her talking. Ew, my goodness. If that's the case, I'm gonna start this whole live over. That's cool. That's cool. Today's story is Tyson laid off 3,200 people today, January the 20th. Also, the soybean farmers are struggling going through it because China has not bought any soybeans from the U.S. for 5 or 6 months. And that's one issue. The second thing is, let me turn on. The second thing is UPS laid off thousands of people. Okay, that's where we at. So with that being said, I am going to restart this because I know y'all can't hear me. Y'all can't hear her. You can hear me, but you can't hear her. So let me start this over so y'all can find out all the fuckery.
Today, $13 billion were lost in the U.S. economy because China announced it will no longer be buying U.S. soybeans. Instead, they're going to buy them from Brazil. That's about $13 billion worth of exports just gone. I don't know if you guys know how much of the United States is just dedicated to growing soybeans, but take a trip around the South. Take a trip around like North Carolina, for example. You'll see there's soybean fields everywhere. Primary customer of those, China. Chinese firms. I don't think people are getting it, man. Like, even if the tariffs got canceled today, I mean, the damage is done effectively. It's going to take years for the United States to regain, if it ever can at this point, its position within the global trade infrastructure. Because global trade is only possible because of a system of handshakes, a system of trust between trading partners, where everybody trusts that the other parties in any trade deal are going to maintain the same systems and agreements for harvesting, packaging, transporting, unloading, and reselling goods between each other. And what the United States has done here over the last 90 days, it's only been 90 days, is it has said to the entire world, we cannot wrangle our worst impulses. Because we could have wrangled them, right? Congress could have stood up to Trump, gotten their stuff together, and said, hey, between the House and the Senate, we have more than enough people who are all dismayed at the dismantling of the global order, which has built all of this untold wealth in this country. So we are going to pass a bill and then use a congressional override in the event that the bill was vetoed in order to take the powers of tariffs back from the president in their unilateral ability to do so, which is how Trump is able to do what he's doing now. Today.
So China has purchased zero US soybean for an unprecedented 6 months in a row. Source for this is Forbes. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Some absolutely catastrophic news for the American agricultural industry.
The farms are failing. If you got a soybean farm, you are failing right now. And like I said, we're going to talk about Nebraska having 11,000 people in the county and losing 3,200 to Tyson Foods, laying off today. They laid them people off today, the 20th. I hope they found a job and somewhere to go. But that entire town is about to suffer with the workforce being that small and that big amount of people getting fired at the same time. Laid off. Well, they call it laid off. I call it you just fired me because you ended my paycheck. That's what I call it.
Absolutely nobody is talking about it. So Donald decided to push tariffs on China, and China pushed some tariffs back. And also another thing that China did, it banned the import of American soybeans. Soybeans, I hear you say, who cares? Well, big difference, China. Good job. So I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into the story. I'd love you to bear with me. I'm going to read from actually the United States Department of Agriculture website, and also this story also comes from Reuters. So let's look at this in a little bit more detail. So about half of U.S. soybean exports are actually shipped to China. That totals about $12.8 billion in trade to America every year. So that's a lot of money. Also, it's a lot of farms, and there's a lot of businesses, and there's a lot of people. What I don't have is a number of people directly employed by the soybean industry, but the United States, and again I'm reading from the USDA, the United States has 98,281 soybean farming businesses as of January 2020.
Okay, did we all hear that? Almost how much? Almost a million farmers that do soybean that's not selling at all in the last 6 months. Almost a million farms. Very close to a million. Selling zero because of this trade war. Yeah, look like we doing some Great Depression work. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is catastrophic news.
Very.
It's not making the media because, as usual, Donald is making a lot of noise. But unfortunately, a lot of people in the States are going to lose their jobs. There's going to be a lot of businesses that are going to go out of business because of this ban. And China.
Today, $13 billion were lost from the U.S. economy because China announced it will no longer be buying U.S. soybeans. Instead, they're going to buy them from Brazil. That's about $13 billion worth of exports just gone. I don't know if you guys know how much of the United States is just dedicated to growing soybeans, but take a trip around the South. Take a trip around like North Carolina, for example. You'll see there's soybean fields everywhere. Primary customer of those, China. Chinese firms. I don't think people are getting it, man. Like, even if the tariffs got canceled today, I mean, the damage is done effectively. I mean, it's going to take years for the United States to regain, if it ever can at this point, its position within the global trade infrastructure. Because global trade is only possible because of a system of handshakes, a system of trust between trading partners, where everybody trusts that the other parties in any trade deal are going to maintain the same systems and agreements for harvesting, packaging, transporting, unloading, and reselling goods between each other. And what the United States has done here over the last 90 days, it's only been 90 days, is it has said to the entire world, we cannot wrangle our worst impulses. Because we could have wrangled them, right? Congress could have stood up to Trump, gotten their stuff together, and said, hey, between the House and the Senate, we have more than enough people who are all dismayed at the dismantling of the global order, which has built all of this untold wealth in this country. So we are going to pass a bill and then use a congressional override in the event that a bill was vetoed in order to take the powers of tariffs back from the...
So Donald Trump was praising Xi Jinping for his large purchase of soybeans from American farmers. And only farmers know the truth about this. The rest of his red hats are just left to believe whatever he says. But Forbes is...
Go ask the farmers. They said they ain't got nothing. Not a payment, not a purchase. So who are these farmers that got a purchase? Because Bill down the street saying he about to shut the door because he can't do it no more. I'm putting out and I'm not selling anything. I'm out here working and no money's coming back. So who are these mystery farmers that's getting a check?
It's Joe from Georgia. So we're getting ready for the first domino to fall, and we know what happens after the first one falls. Well, the state of Nebraska, the governor, Jim Pillen, has asked the federal government for help because they're not going to be able to pay their bills this year. And here's the problem in Nebraska. They had over a $2 billion contract with the Chinese government to export soybeans to China. Well, out of that $2 billion, they canceled all the contracts. So out of that $2 billion, $350 million was state revenue taxes. They're not getting any of that. And the governor also goes on to say that because the migrant farmers weren't able to work in Nebraska this summer, that those people didn't pay their taxes either. And the farmers.
Right. Y'all remember last year when they kicked all the immigrants off the farm and Nebraska was crying, but we ain't got nobody to work the fields. What we's gonna do? And they just was losing their mind. So you didn't have those workers there to pay any taxes, and they have canceled every single contract to sell soybeans. What a time to be alive. To see all this fall, like he said, once the first domino hit, what's next? And they don't want to talk about this. He always get in trouble for telling the truth. Hopefully this video gets out there, because I'm just a truth teller. And boy, I suffer for it. Nobody want to talk about this, what's going on. Everybody's sweeping it through the rugs. But if you got a farm and you out there working and you done spent $20,000, $30,000 on a tractor, you give a damn. And you want to know what's going on.
Who already have crops in the ground, folks, they've already spent their money. Mm-hmm. They're going to need help too because they're not getting any money from the contracts anymore. So Nebraska is the first state. And when you look at the Midwest, you're probably looking at Kansas, you're looking at Iowa, South Dakota, all of those places that are large exporters of grains to China, mm-hmm, and depend on migrant farm labor. They're not going to be able to pay their bills either. So here's the first one to fall. But of course, as we do know, a certain person in a certain house in Washington, D.C. at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, they know all about bankruptcy. I'm sure they'll be able to help.
Trump says, be patient. The farmer's going to be better than ever. Well, you better hurry up.
So that's a guy named Franz Rowland, and he's been farming for 40 years in Georgia. And it's really this next thing he said that just completely blew my mind.
We've lost our market share, our trade to China. I don't know who dropped the ball in Washington to allow these prices, this trade to diminish like it has. But somebody dropped the ball. Somebody was looking out for us.
This state is a soybean farmer and has been for 40 years.
40 years.
It's his life. It's his business. And he has no idea, literally no idea why China won't buy our soybeans.
You gotta know.
Hi.
Okay, so that's that news. I'm about to switch over because I don't hear nothing else about soybeans. I just had to let y'all know what's going on currently out here in the field. Now, this video here is the 3,200 people from Tyson saying goodbye, turning in hats, uniforms, because today is the day. And look, you can tell nobody got no job. What I mean by that is when they announce that y'all gonna lose the job late November, December, ruin your holidays with that bullshit. When they announce that they're gonna let y'all go, look how many people still there after finding this out. Don't you think the regular person would have said, well, whoop, hell, they about to close this mall. Let me go find me a job. For there to be that many people turning in uniforms, this is your last day, then they couldn't find anything in this market. Because finding a job right now is hard as hell. That's why it's so many people still there. And they saying goodbye to all their friends and recording it before we leave. Those lines had thousands of people on it. They done cleared everything out the warehouse. moved equipment, sprayed everything down, saying goodbye to their friends. This is what's going on in our country right now. Oh, let me turn the sound on for this one.
And cattle are not the same thing.
The cost of beef and the cost of cattle are completely disconnected.
While you might be seeing record high beef prices this holiday season,
Ground beef up nearly 13.
Oh, but let me give some context to this. Now, this video here is some of the reason why Tyson had to let some folks go. The beef crisis that's going on.
Percent steak up 16%.
cattle producers are actually seeing less money, and they're bearing the burden of bringing down costs. So what is happening here?
So the consumers get taken advantage of. The boots on the ground producers get taken advantage of. There's somebody making a lot of money, and it's just you and me.
There's a deep imbalance in our meat markets.
People are actually paying more for meat, even as the farmers are making less.
President Trump posting on Truth Social, you know something is fishy.
And it's benefiting one group in particular. This is a story about the thousands of struggling ranchers putting food on your table.
Right now, we're losing 17,520 farms a year on average.
What happens in 20 years when we're all gone?
The giant meat packers and the systems they use to control the market.
Because the marketplace is fundamentally broken.
The money men playing with our food chain, and the politicians trying to drive beef prices down by any means necessary.
The only price we have that's high is beef, and we'll get that down.
Is there a future for beef in America?
Our herd size has been declining at an alarming rate.
And what can we do to save it?
We're tired of other people controlling our destiny. Mom, the dollars that we deal with today, if Dad had the opportunity to cash out the chips, would he keep rolling the dice, or would he have pulled his money and said it's been a good run?
Boy, that's a hard one.
If you read the news about the beef crisis, you might think that ranchers are doing well right now. But John O'Day, a sixth-generation Nebraska farmer, showed us a different reality.
It's really tough because historically, 7 out of 10 years a cow-calf operation breaks even or loses money. Come on, Eric. You hope to make enough money when you're profitable to pay down debt that you've accumulated during the tough times.
John is an independent rancher.
Oh!
But in our food system, independent ranchers aren't that independent.
So I told you in our last stop, we checked the markets when we got over here. So here's the chart that I use.
Ranchers live and die by this chart, the feeder cattle futures, that dictates how much they can expect for their product. Many ranchers believed that 2025 would be a rare profitable year, with feeder cattle prices reaching record highs in the fall. But then something happened at the worst possible time.
We're going to do something very quickly and easily on beef to get it down.
President Trump's plan to buy more beef from Argentina.
His words sent wholesale cattle prices
Looks like
plummeting.
we've lost around $200 a head. That would be around a $17 billion.
Many American.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so now we're getting into the thick of it. I love these documentaries because they will tell you everything you need to know.
Cattle ranchers outraged.
It feels like being a pawn in a game we're not going to win.
I would say that we've lost conservatively between $200 and $300 per head on our calf crop and on our inventory. So $250,000-ish in a month. It's real money. It's real dollars.
Right.
When President Trump announced a plan to quadruple imports of Argentine beef, then demanded American ranchers get their prices down, ranchers lost billions in expected profits. And beef prices, they stayed at all-time highs.
I would handle it better if it was actually making a difference for the consumer, but it's not. What's happened to us hasn't helped the consumer at all.
We're going to do something very quickly and easily on beef to get it down. The ranchers understand that. They're so happy for what I've done. I saved them. I don't think you'd have any beef in this country if I didn't do that.
And of course, it was the biggest supporters that feel the most betrayed.
So how can the price of cattle be so volatile? And how can cattle ranchers lose so much money so quickly? It has to do with the connection between this and this.
The feeder futures market is just, it's there to create chaos and volatility for farmers, but it's just pure paper trading. Those guys don't own any cattle. They don't do anything but paper trade and drive the board down.
Coy Young is a former cattle rancher. We spoke to him in 2023, shortly after he was forced to sell his herd.
Hey, Corey, you got out of it. Be glad of that. Because I know people like, we got to sell the whole farm because this ain't working. It ain't benefiting nobody to sell soybeans or beef. You can try.
Coy had financed a herd
Coy.
of Angus beef that he was hoping to make a profit from.
And that Friday, the Chicago Board of Trade feeder cattle price tanked.
What? He said I almost ended my life because of the corrupt and rigged beef industry. Wow.
108. That was when Coy almost decided to take his life.
We caught up with Coy 2 years later.
Futures traders caused the price to go down. They needed an excuse to drive the price down and overbuy the market. The hedge funds that are behind these driving forces in the future markets are driving the prices down.
Okay, let's back up. Futures contracts are supposed to work as a simple agreement between buyer and seller, setting a fair price to exchange at a later date. But in reality, nothing real is sold on the futures market. Instead, massive corporations and Wall Street speculators trade in predictions and profit off of price changes.
You know, during the pandemic, we all remember store shelves were empty. And at that same time, farmers were getting screwed. Why? Store shelves are empty, farmers should be making money. I mean, because they're the ones that create the animals and produce the proteins that we consume.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case when Coy went to sell his cattle in 2020.
That Friday, the 13th March of 2020, the board tanked at 108. And
Wow. I'm like, I remember that when beef was like barely on the shelf, meat. I was like, oh, they must be really making some money because the shelves was low with meat. And they wasn't?
Sale was set for Sunday, March 15th. It was a massacre for me, and I was expected to get 125 to 128,000 from the sale, and I came home with a $36,000 check. I cried all the way home from the sale.
Coy had to shut down his family's cattle operation.
So the problem with the cattle futures market is it is highly susceptible to manipulation and to news, whether true or false. And so producers are harmed. One could describe it as a playground for speculators.
Bill Bullard is a former rancher from South Dakota, and now the CEO of RCAF USA, a legal fund representing independent meat producers.
We have seen significant anomalies regarding the futures market.
The impact of this speculation is only compounded by another problem in the beef industry: consolidation. To understand why, we first need to take a closer look at how the beef production chain works.
The live cattle industry is somewhat segmented. If you think of a pyramid with the cow-calf producer at its base,
this is where John and so many other small independent producers sit in the process.
And as the animals grow and mature, they move up until they reach the feedlot sector. And there you have this incredible bottleneck between four meat packers controlling 80% of the market. It's there that the meat packers are able to exert their market power in order to leverage down the price that the cattle feeder receives for the animals.
90% of cattle raised in the U.S. come from small to medium-sized independent producers like John. But we only have half as many American cattle ranchers today as we had in the 1980s. And while that number has shrunk, the meatpacking industry has consolidated. Just four major packers dominate the market: JBS, National Beef, Cargill, and Tyson.
And they just got sued. It's some kind of thing you can go online and it's a class action lawsuit about them raising the prices. They just got sued, all four of them. And them, the top four.
So in 1980, the cattle producers received 63 cents of every consumer beef dollar. and the meat packers and retailers had to share 37 cents. Jump to 2021. That allocation of the consumer beef dollar has been completely flipped on its head because the marketplace is fundamentally broken.
In 2019, RCAF USA filed a class action lawsuit against the
Yep.
Big Four, alleging a price fixing scheme to shift the market in their favor by reducing slaughter and reducing their purchases in the cash market.
We allege that the meat packers were managing the marketplace to ensure there was never more demand than there was an available supply of cattle. And we allege that that is how they were able to suppress cattle prices.
This power imbalance in the market means that the price of boxed beef can continue to rise and generate profits for meat packers and big box retailers, but far faster than the prices producers get for their cattle.
The spread has been widening, which is a clear indication of market failure within our industry.
This is part of the original 280 my dad bought in 1965. Now I'm just trying to keep it. It's the other battle.
Even after selling his herd, Coy has not been able to get out from under his bank loans and credit card debt.
How's it feel to be like this close to the operation that you grew up on, but you're not working it anymore?
It's depressing as hell.
Wow. And then he probably feel like, damn, dad got sick. It was on me to keep everything going, and I couldn't even keep it going when it got into my hands. That's probably why he felt like he felt. That's sad for somebody to be playing with you, trying to be an honest farmer, you trying to work, sell the goods, plant crops, and sell the animals, whatever you're doing. And somebody is purposely trying to scam you out of your money. They don't want to pay for what you're doing. It's sad. And he said he supposed to got $136,000. He came home with $36K. That's a lot for somebody who's been feeding them things to get them fat and big and ready for the slaughterhouse. And been working that field and paying for diesel and whatever else that tractor need. And then y'all playing these people out their money? That's crazy.
We'll get back into it one of these days, hopefully.
Coy's Cattle Ranch is just one of nearly 20,000 American family farms that go out of business every year. This loss of independent ranchers has also contributed to the depletion of America's cattle herd.
And we've lost over 32 million head of cattle since 1980 that should be in circulation in the United States. And now we're at record low numbers.
Now, Coy finds himself on the consumer side of the meat packers. He's opened a barbecue food truck.
I'm still paying for this thing. I've got 2 payments left on this, and it'll be paid off.
But just like he was getting squeezed as a producer, he's now getting squeezed as a consumer.
Brisket went from $387 in March to $642 in September. That's a 70% increase in only just 4 months. So now it's like I can't even afford to buy brisket to cook to sell. I can't afford to raise them, I can't afford to sell them.
Now we can't even talk about one household really making a living year to year on 250 cattle. And 30 years ago, 250 head of cattle in one family's operation would have been huge. Would have supported 2 families. Yeah.
The connection between supply and demand in the beef industry has been severed by the corporate players sitting between you and America's ranchers, and it's taking a toll on our whole system.
I feel that my sons, I don't, the direction we're going, I don't see a future beyond the generation that's just starting right now.
The price of beef is unsustainably high for the average American, but bringing it down is not as easy as just saying,
We're going to do something very quickly and easily on beef to get it down.
So what would help?
We have to stop the decimation and desecration of our American cattle. We build our herd in the United States.
And increasing domestic supply only happens when cattle are profitable for producers.
Sustained long-term profits are the only thing that's gonna solve the beef cost issue. Is we've got to get enough domestic production to where we get so far ahead of the demand, that the boxes start piling up for the retail segment, and then they'll drop prices.
And that only gets done by getting corporate influences out of the market.
Well, we would like to.
Yep, because every time they put their hand into something, it always goes south. What are y'all doing over there trying to control what farmers are doing? That's crazy. Oh, this is back to Tyson. This woman says she worked 10 years. End of a chapter at Tyson Food after 10 years of working at Tyson's. 3 days ago, she said goodbye to everybody. Folks losing their income faster than they gaining it. And somebody in the comments said, I was the human resource complex manager in the Tyson in Missouri, the one that closed in 2023. My salary was $190K a year when it closed. Oh, she said, I thought it was the end of the world. 4 months later, after applying to different places, I received a call from another chicken plant offering me $200K a year salary as a human resources complex manager at that company. When one door closes, another one might have open. Have faith. That's true. But ooh, to lose that much. That's crazy. But I have to turn the sound down so we don't get no copyrights. 10 years working at Tyson. Telling everybody bye. Hanging the coat up. The economy is going crazy right now. Doing bad. Boy, I tell you. Okay, now we can turn it back up.
Processing plant in Lexington, Nebraska. Let's talk about the effects of what this is going to bring. This causes a false sense of supply and demand issue within the area. With a plant that closes that was doing upwards around 5,000 head of cattle a day, those cattle are going to have to go somewhere else. And you can guess who owns the next closest processing plant. You got it right, Tyson Foods. So now that Tyson's other plant is being flooded with beef, they're going to be able to set the price that they're buying these cattle for, screwing over the ranchers and the sellers who are selling them these cattle, because the buyer sets the price, not the seller. So Tyson buys these animals for less. They still have the same amount of demand. So they're going to be charging you, the American consumer, the same price or even higher prices because now they have to process more cattle. Tell me how that works. But this is all part of the game plan that goes unchecked and unchallenged. These people are allowed to do this whenever they want because they control the market. But the rancher makes less, you pay more, Tyson makes billions of dollars. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments below.
All right, beef prices are on the rise because of Tyson Foods closing down plants across the country. There's Tyson saying that there's not enough cattle being produced, but I don't know if I buy that.
Right, we about to fill it with all those closures. The people. So next time you go, your beef might be $5 more than it already was because it was already high from the beginning.
Tyson's importing, doing all this. They're one of the major controllers of everything. I use Greater Omaha certified Herefords. You know what the amazing thing about those certified Herefords are? They're guaranteed United States made. American beef, served for American people. Think about that as you go to the grocery store. Where is your beef coming from? Where's your chicken coming from? If you don't look into this, these big corporations are going to be able to control the market. And there's not a thing anybody can do about it because they'll just say, oh, we're closing a beef plant down. Not enough beef are imported, not enough beef ready for slaughter. I don't think I buy that. That's the rant. Let me know if you think it's right or wrong. Hit me up.
Let me know what y'all think in the comments about this. This Tyson food plant closing.
Trump-friendly town in Nebraska is feeling the weight of the president's economic policies. Joining us, MS Now national reporter Rosa Flores, who's in Lexington, Nebraska. What exactly is going on there? You know, Katie, have you ever been in a place where you can just feel the pain and the anxiety? That's what it feels like being here in Lexington, Nebraska. This is a town of under 11,000 people, and 3,200 will lose their jobs on January 20th when the Tyson plant in town closes. People have described to me what's happening here by using the words catastrophe, crisis, the feeling of being collateral damage, hurt, anxiety, agony. I mean, just such powerful words because of what's happening here. The street that you see behind me is a vibrant business district. I've talked to some of the owners. Some of them are immigrants. As you drive up the street, the names of the businesses tell you about the diversity in this town. People from Mexico, from Guatemala, from Somalia, some of them former refugees who worked really hard at the Tyson plant, saved their money, and became business owners in this community.
Yeah, because they was making good money, y'all. They was making good money working there, and there was a lot of foreign people there, might I add. They was doing good at the plant. And y'all just came and corrupted these folks' life just like that. And I was showing you the beef videos because I wanted to dive deeper into just the news of Tyson plant is closing. No, let's find out why. Let's go talk to the farmers. Let's go talk to the people making the meat and chicken. What's going on? So we have to dig in that first. Then we on to the people who just lost their income and don't know how they go pay their bills. Now, I foresee either a lot of people is about to start moving if they don't find nothing quick.
Another business here to my left down the street. That woman says that people have gone into her store sobbing. Her sales immediately dropped 10 to 20% right after the announcement. Up the street here is a public library. There are companies from all over trying to recruit workers. Here to my left down the street.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing that the companies came and said, oh my gosh, we know that thousands of people is going to be without a job. So we're going to come and try to recruit y'all and give y'all some work. Shout out to the business owners who did that. But evidently it wasn't enough because we just seen the videos, everybody leaving, and it was thousands. That was 3 days ago. Thousands of people was in line turning their uniform in. So I guess everybody didn't get a job.
This way, there's a pastor who's trying to figure out how to speak about joy on Sunday services. The impact of this is everywhere, but here are some of the people that I talked to. Are you trying to get information from the city? Has the city provided any information to you?
No yet.
Is that frustrating?
Yes. We need to know what's the other plan he had. You know, from the economic perspective, from the spiritual perspective, everybody's worried. You know, everybody's thinking, specifically this season, what we need to celebrate. What will be the joy of this community in this Christmas season? Hoping, expectations, everything is in the air.
What do your friends tell you, the ones that are leaving?
We try not to talk about it because we get really emotional.
So you're mostly not talking about it?
We always try to think of the positive side.
The time that you still have together.
Yes.
Is that what you focus on?
Yes, we try to make the best of it.
No, Katie.
Y'all voted for that. No. I am so sorry. But y'all voted for that, y'all. I'm going to have to speak the truth. And now y'all feeling it. Today, January the 20th, Tyson let go of 3,200 people. They gave them like 6 weeks notice. They started handing out notices November 21st to let y'all know that on January the 20th, 2026, we are cutting back and closing 2 plants. I think it was A and B side.
Hey, what's up, America? Tyson food plants closing throughout America.
So apparently a bunch of Tyson food plants, mainly chicken plants, chicken processing facilities, have closed in the United States recently. So let's talk about all those plants that have closed. So the first is the Tyson beef plant that processed ground beef, marinated proteins, and seasoned proteins. That was in Emporia, Kansas. That closed February 2025, or this month, and 809 employees were fired. So then we have Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 2 prepared food plants that process meats and cheesesteaks. That plant closed January 31st, 229 people were fired. So Perry, Iowa, that was a pork processing plant. That closed in June, 1,100 workers fired. 6 poultry processing facilities in North Little Rock, Arkansas were closed or are closing. A poultry plant in Corydon, Indiana closed. Another one of those in Dexter, Missouri. Another one of those in Noel, Missouri. And yet again in
Tyson shutting down a plant isn't an accident. It's what happens when 4 corporations run America's entire meat supply like a cartel. This isn't
Black
market
Rock.
conditions, it's corruption, and it's bought and paid for influence. It's decades of political donations and lobby money letting the big 4 do whatever the hell they want. And when they close a plant, ranchers get crushed, and consumers pay more, and communities collapse. And
Final days, y'all. This is history in the making. I wonder, can they ever recover from this and open back up in the future, or is this permanent? Everybody saying they final goodbyes. And some of these people been here, like that girl said, 10 years, 5 years, years, man. And they doing a final walkout. In the news. Make sure y'all share the live. Let me know what's going on. What's your thoughts on this? Folks walking out the door. And who's next? Because we hear UPS laying off. What's the other name of that company? I think it starts with an M. It's a app company. They let go 1,200 people. I don't have my list. I should have came with my list of all the companies this week that did layoffs in the thousands. That's why I hate first quarter, because the first quarter is just the time of getting let go. I'd be glad when it's over. This is Lexington, Nebraska. It's like, okay, what to do next? Where we going next? Them layoffs, they don't have no name. Anybody can get it. I just like to keep y'all updated on what's going on in the economy. I know I probably would have had left last month and looked for something else, guys. But like I said, evidently it wasn't nothing else, because these people still continue to work to the last day. Look how many thousands of people, and it's their last day. But y'all will find something else. Y'all find something better, man. Do not fret. Pray about it. Okay, let me turn this up.
Procedural warm notice over a week ago. They'll be closing their facility as of January 20th, impacting 3,200 individuals for the community of Lexington. The general mood of the individuals coming in for our services, of course, is anxiety. What do I do next? What am I?
Oh, that's the Department of Labor.
Where do I go and what do I do from here? Tyson workers make up about 3,200 of the population of 11,000 of Lexington. And so they have a great impact on the culture of schools and everything that a community is comprised of.
Somebody said in the comments, meanwhile, the owner of Tyson is on his yacht in Florida laughing. Wow.
When I told them, their reaction was to cry.
Shock.
They were mad. And I'm guessing that was just a reaction because they were heartbroken. They don't want to go anywhere. This is their home.
These plants have been underutilized, and we have a shortage of cattle out there in the U.S., and because of that, we're very vulnerable that somebody might shut down. Really, my heart was broken over the change of what it does to our community. We have a very strong community in Lexington that really is close-knit and very accepting of the packing industry as well as all industries.
We just hardworking people. That's it. We're just hardworking people. All we do is go to work, come to church. That's all we do here.
Guys, thank you for watching. I just wanted to let y'all know what's going on. There's videos of the layoffs. And this is a rancher talking about why it's going on. And this is somebody said, today was the last day for B shift at Tyson. It was emotional and sad day. I'm going to miss all my friends. Let me know what you think down in the comment. Thanks for chilling with me today. I had to go live because this was easier to do. I couldn't make a video because I got a lot going on. I hope you guys been doing well, keeping warm. It's cold outside. Stay bundled up, stay warm, stay optimistic, and stay prayed up. I love you guys. Until next time, bye. I'm out.